So as this, here we are in Chicago Express, as this turn started, by turn I mean round of these plays, I don't know what to call them. Turn seems as good as anything else. This guy over here with New York Central share tried to float another share of it, and it went for $32 to his compatriot, who happens to now have 2 shares. The B&O spread out and continued building. That's this guy's differentiation. It's what he holds between the pen and the B&O, as opposed to this guy who's holding the C&O and B&O. Well, he doesn't expect anyone else to be helping the B&O, so he wants to build it up himself. And then the guy who started the pen floated a NYC, I believe at 31, which no one had, thereby getting that. Those are going at a real premium, but and the next one, if another one fires off, it's probably going to go for significantly less than that, actually. But them's are the breaks, right? All right. So now we're on this guy with pen and C&O, and he's got to figure out what he's going to do. So I floated around to the end of the round, actually. This fella tried to float a C&O by everyone. He had more money than anyone except this guy. This guy outbid him at about, I think, 18 bucks, and got a cheap share that way. This is bad because it's watering down his hold on it. He was hoping that maybe this guy would let it go by, wanting a meteor share. Anyway, those kind of choices are a problem. We got another problem as the track laid out. As we can see, there's a lot of track, and the pen is almost at Chicago. The reason it's almost at Chicago, would have shot up to Detroit, but I made the mistake of placing this guy here instead of here. There wouldn't be enough tokens anyway. So the particular track lay that the pen made means that it has the choice of, and it's not a choice, of making it to Detroit, which grows over time, or grabbing Chicago, which gets it a bonus run and is bigger than Detroit right now and for most of the game. Okay. Let's see what we have for income here. Well, everybody's pretty much high up there. I may have screwed up. I'm not sure I had counted that the B&O was in Wheeling last time, which I don't know how many points that would be. I'm going to hand out the cash, but right now it's so hard for me to tell who's ahead and who's not. Let's look at what the values are. The pen's divided 3 ways, so its shares are worth $8 each. The NYC is divided 4, so it's only worth 6 each. The C&O are divided 4, so they're only worth 5 each, but the B&O, there's only 2, so they're worth 9 each. So those B&O certificates are worth a lot more. One thing to note about this game, unlike Pampas, stock is worth nothing at the end of the game. It's just worth whatever income it provides. So it's kind of tough for me to see. This guy has 10, 19 here. The pen has 8 and 9 is 17. So those are probably our leaders. 2 NYCs out of 4. It's only 12. That doesn't sound very good. You know, it's just odd how the money breaks on this one. All right, I'm going to hand that cash out and reset these little spinners. Love doing that. And move Detroit up. So the game's taking an interesting turn here. This guy opened up by putting a B&O up for sale. I don't remember what he... It ended up going for 31 bucks. This guy? No. To the guy who started the B&O. Then this guy followed up with a stock round, picked up a New York Central for 27. Now, at this point, and I'm not sure I've actually explained this before, I don't remember doing so. How does the game end? Well, the game ends when 3 or more companies have no more choo-choos, or they have no more stock certificates, or the general supply has 3 houses or less, or Detroit's income hits 8. And then there's one more payout. Well, in this particular case, we've got 2 companies cleared of stock, and one with only 1 certificate left. So this guy thinks to himself, I can crush things here. But there's a problem. And the problem is this. Let me look at how, make sure I understand how things are worded. When you auction a share, you must bid at least the minimum bid or pass. Oh. So you don't actually have to bid on it. And you get it for 0 if you don't bid on it. So he is indeed going to do that. And here's why this is so devastating. Not only is it going to end the game, but these shares aren't worth what people are bidding on them. With one more payout, the minimum bid is divided by the number of shares already sold. But that's besides the point. People have been paying based on this full value, pouring money into the company is sure fine, but they just didn't understand completely, or I didn't understand, and they're all parts of me, that the values of the shares kind of go down as more and more of them are auctioned off. They shouldn't be going up the way they were here. It's not like pompous railroads. The shares aren't worth anything at the end of the game. The only thing that's worth something at the end of the game is how many dividends you pull. So this guy is definitely going to offer up that B&O and try to end things and crush the people who've been buying so many shares that are worth so much. I thought there was a mechanism in there which was that he had to bid. First of all, I thought this was the minimum bid that you could bid. But also, I thought that there was a mechanism in there to prevent, which is to say, if he had to take that 17-buck hit to end the game, ending the game becomes not really an option, and he has to look for other things. But everybody's been so share hungry, they've probably been playing wrong. Anyway, I'm going to go on with this bid. It's definitely worth more than, let's see, what the minimum is. The current income divided by the number of shares already sold, including the one being auctioned. So that's going to be a quarter. It's definitely worth the $5. It will make that back. It's probably not worth anything more than that. Does he want it for $5? Yeah. I mean, you might as well. But it is definitely not the situation that I thought the game was. Anyway, I'll come back. Well, guy with double shares of the NYC hooked it up to Chicago, pulled an extra run. Everybody got $6 a share because the price pumped up to 30 and there are 5 total shares. That also brings the Wabash into play. And I don't know. I hope they don't have to pay. Anyway, he bid $3 on the initial share of the Wabash, which is garbage, but it won't be able to get him anywhere. Could get him down to here if he hurries, assuming they start with one. And everybody left it alone and let him buy it for $3. The next jump up would be like $10 or something like that to get him hooked up into Chicago. That seems like a bit of a risk. But who's going to be playing it? All right, well, so the game took a strange turn here. Let's see about that Wabash. Yep, gets a free choo-choo in here. All right, well, we go onward. So a couple other companies plied their way in to get the bell ringer or whatever, that extra income phase. This guy ended things with the C&O. Yes, somebody else gets more off those C&O, but he's figuring that guy's holding 4 shares. Shares were a bad idea. And this gives me a jump over a couple of the people who are holding less by getting this to go. Obviously, although cash is out, somebody in that position could have made the calculations instead. He also picked up an extra mountain space off of it. Just to increase the revenues. Well, it's time to count out that final run and then count everybody's cash and see what happens. And I'll be back with the totals. So I spread the money out. Kind of at the back of the pack, we got $35 each for these guys. Some heavy investments in some of those certificates, which is part of the problem for them. Then everything gets a little closer. $50 here. He's only got 2 certificates. 54, but he's got the most certificates out of anyone. And some of them were bought not that cheaply. The C&O first one was cheap, but the rest of them, many of them were bought at those higher prices. Back down to $50 here for this guy who caught the issue but couldn't do much about it. Now, he didn't buy many certificates. I only really count the 2, but apparently they weren't good choices in terms of the balance at that moment. Maybe playing for a longer game or whatever. Certainly everybody was with the thought that, oh, I must have more certificates, not realizing, whoa, it's all over, and oops, they're not really worth what I thought they were. And then finally here, over $63, guy sitting on 2 certificates. The pen made big money early. C&O, I'm not sure why. You know, I look at it and some of what I say is maybe they bought at good prices. I don't know. It's really hard to tell. But here's the thing. The game is so skewed by the fact that I had no idea how it was going to play out, you know, and sort of what you needed to do to win. Yes, I was vaguely aware of what the victory conditions were. I was looking and saying, wow, it might end before the Wabash really gets out. Well, that's the case. They never got to actually play, and that guy ended up losing $2 off buying it, but, you know, who knew? But overall, yeah, it's going to be really, really tough to give any reasonable discussion about the game. I'm intrigued by it. I want to play it again. I like it better just for the components, if nothing else, than Pampas. My natural inclination was just, shares are important, and trying to feed in some of the input that I got after playing that, and you know, on this one more than that, it was clear to me that owning shares wasn't that important, that the division is more of a big deal, etc. But then, when it came down to it, I didn't realize how low the value of those certificates really was. Alright, well, let's send this one up, and I guess I can try to give a review. It's not going to be much of one off this.